I'm unplugging my Bitcoin miner. And while there may be more than $40 million going out to Bitcoin miners every day, and I've spent a lot of time building my own little mini Bitcoin mining farm, running the Bitcoin mining profitability, depending on your situation, sometimes it just does not make financial sense to keep running those Bitcoin miners. Hey, I'm Drew Vosk. You're on the VoskCoin YouTube channel, home of the VoskCoin Mining Farm. So this is my Bitcoin mining situation right now with the gear that I still have online before I make some adjustments, and also I need to get some things repaired, and a couple items are basically in limbo. So I've got a disrespectful 2.99 petahash. I am back out of the 3 petahash club, I guess. I basically have like an entire petahash of miners that are broken, as well as moving from a hosting facility that basically scammed me to a better hosting facility that should be a much better experience. Subscribe, because that's gonna be a story when I finally get out of this debacle with them. Let's call it that. So we got 27 miners online here. This is on Luxor's mining pool. Luxor is a sponsor of the channel. They have hash rate index, which they have a premium newsletter, a free newsletter, a bunch of Bitcoin mining tools. They push a lot of Bitcoin mining information out. They can also source Bitcoin miners for you. So utilizing their Bitcoin profitability tool here, let's crunch some numbers. 68 terahash a second at 2.3 kilowatts or 2,300 watts. My electricity rate is effectively, I'm going to call it 8 cents. It's really 7 to 7.5 right now. But I like to err on the high side to account for supplemental equipment that's running, things like exhaust fans and so forth, that detract from my mining profitability because they have an electrical cost and they don't run into my calculations with all of the different mining rigs. Remoting into my mining rig, you can see that it's reportedly mining about 70 terahash a second. This is immersed in our Bixbit immersion container, our 6 miner unit. Super quick update. While the Bixbit immersion systems were difficult to install, they have been very efficient and they've been running very well, even running under the recommended pressure that they're supposed to run on. So the big radiators and the VFD on those has proven to be effective and efficient. So this is in that tub, and you can watch our crazy install video on that, where I go from being a noob to a uncertified master plumber. It's reportedly using about 2,400 to 500 watts here. So my calculation, I had it at 2.3. Let's go a little bit higher here at 2.5. That hash rate, right? It's losing me money. It's losing me over $1 per day. And here's the 24-hour hash rate on that. It's a little bit lower. We had a power outage that does negatively impact that. So if we take 63, right, and I bumped it up to 68 to really more than compensate for that. Looking in the miner dashboard, that's probably maybe around where it hashes at. There's a bit of variation in here. The point being here is simple, right? This is a Bitmain Antminer T19. This is a previous generation Bitcoin miner. Many people are still running S19s. I get emails, I get messages. Should I buy an Antminer S19? What should I do, Vosk? Is this worth it at this price? This is my electricity rate. Right? You just got to run the numbers and you got to figure it out for you. I know my electricity rate. I also know my capacity, right? And right now I'm dealing with right before I get to this next leg of expansion in the farm, which is well underway. I'm out of electricity, or usable electricity right now, if you will. So if I have a miner that's losing me $1 per day, and I could plug in something that's earning me more than it's burning my electricity or my bills here, hole in my pocket, that would make sense to do. This miner's run well. It's been rock solid. I ran it for a long time, air cooled, and then it's been in immersion over a year there as well. There's benefits, at least here, running a mining business, to actually operate at a loss, right? For some gear, right? I've got a mining rig making $30 a day after my electricity bill. Okay, right? And then I've got this miner that makes me $3.65 a day, but I lose $1.15, right? So it's costing me like $4.80 to run. So I'm getting a $4.80 expense every day, and I'm also adding 3.65 into my BTC wallets. If Bitcoin doubles in price, who cares? In retrospect, it was well worth it. But at some point you have to make decisions and be pragmatic, or just reinvest capital, hopefully reinvest at this point, right? And deploy more gear, or I should really say better gear, more efficient gear, right? If you ask around the mining community, you say, I want to go to a mining conference. What do people recommend? They recommend Mining Disrupt, and for good reason. We've got a link to discounted Mining Disrupt conference ticket sales down in the video description below. Thanks to them for sponsoring. There's a lot of profitable miners out there, especially on the Dogecoin mining front. Recently, Mining Now reached out to us to basically compare their mining tool with like ASIC miner value. And they've definitely built a competitor product here. We actually built our own version of this, but it never made it out of beta, unfortunately. All the things that go on that you just may never know or hear about, right? So here's the Bitmain Antminer S21 XP for reference. I also bring this up because I recently deployed an Antminer S21 XP. It's been working very well. It's big, it's powerful, it's power hungry, and it's very efficient, and they're pretty expensive. But this could profit me, right, with my electricity rate of 8 cents over the next year, $3,000. $3,146. If you contrast that with the T19 I'm running, it's going to lose me $421 over the next year. If you're wondering why these aren't typical Antminer T19 spec, I have this underclocked to try and increase the efficiency. So I've dropped like 20 terahash a second off of this, and I've reduced the power consumption by like 25% or whatever the math checks out as. It's percentage wise, I'm getting more hash for less power usage, and also increased density on my mining farm, because if I do this to 3 miners, increase their efficiency, I have also opened up space for another miner or 2, depending on their electrical requirements. The bottom line is, though, right, I look at this T19 and it just doesn't make sense to run for me anymore, especially with how little it's still making day to day, with how high of a price Bitcoin is trading at. Then I look at an S19 I have. This is a 95 terahash a second version. You can see its power usage is up towards 2,700 watts. This one is actually on a hash rate target of 80 terahash a second. And then just to put that into perspective, right, I would take 81 terahash a second at 2,700 watts. This is losing me almost $1 a day over the next year. This is going to cost me an extra $307 a day to run, right? So I could be buying basically $5 of Bitcoin, or I can be mining $4 of Bitcoin while spending $5 in electricity. Granted, right, this is an expense. There is a tax benefit to that, but you can't run a great business. Here's the Luxor Bitcoin mining pool readout of that exact miner here as well. You cannot run a profitable business. Like the best businesses are in the world, they're not like, oh yeah, every day we lose money. That's our business. That's a losing business. So here's another miner I have in there. This is an S19J Pro. I think this is a 96 terahash second version. It's underclocked to 2,200 watts, but it decides with the auto tuner it wants to pull 2,400 watts. This gets me a hash rate around 82. This results in a small loss of 26 a day, but I'm still going to lose $93 over the next year running this machine. And when it comes to utilizing a liquid-cooled mining systems, or even serious air-cooled systems like the air-cooled location in our Digital Shovel mini pod for reference, right? These are expensive deployments, right? The Digital Shovel is a nice plug-and-play mining container that has a big cost attached to it, right? It's not just like running in my basement or something like I already had. You look at the immersion systems. All of the immersion systems on our mining farm essentially cost $1,000 per machine to deploy. There's a big infrastructure premium attached to all of this than just to be running like at a negative. You look at fun Bitcoin mining projects like Bitaxe, where they basically take a single chip out of full-size Bitcoin miners. These are ASICs, application-specific integrated circuit miners with purpose-built chips. Some maniacs rip out just the chip and make single miner ASICs, right? Like the Bitaxes we've been talking about. These are so cool. These are so fun. These are essentially lottery miners. We built Solo Luck this year to show you, like, what does that look like, right? So for like, less than $300, I get into a brand new Bitaxe, a nice quality one, because they're open source hardware and software, so anybody can get the parts and make these themselves if they want, which is pretty cool and very much aligned with Bitcoin's ethos. Put in 1.2 terahash, I've got a 1 in 13,000 chance to hit a block over the next year. It's lottery mining, and it's great for solo mining. So, I put these small miners here on a solo mining pool, but I use my big serious miners, right? Because they have a big price attached on, say, like Luxor's Bitcoin mining pool. But these things, they use like 20 watts. It's basically nothing. Look here on screen what 20 watts costs versus 3,650 watts of the current generation S21 heavy latest series Bitcoin miners. But I bring this up because this is cool, this is fun, this is very hobby based. All of these Bitaxes and other mini Bitcoin miners I'm running cost me less than just that T19 to run. So per day, less than a couple bucks per day. So in regards to the Bitaxe project, I'm a bit off topic, I guess, but I would love to see heavier support with older chips and a bigger focus on recycling older hardware, giving it a second lease on life. However, in comparison, I also love the latest generation gear using like the BM1370 ASIC chips out of the S21 Pros, also the same chips in the S21 XPs that give you this wild efficiency level, and with a single chip miner, much like the Bitcoin white paper, 1 CPU, 1 vote, you're getting over 1 terahash a second. That's pretty cool. And it was only just, I don't know, time's flying by, 8 years ago or so that you were buying a Bitcoin miner that was doing 13.5 terahash a second full size gear. Yeah, the point here is, right, as I run through this different mining hardware, it's just not making sense for me to run. This one's around 100 terahash a second, consuming 2,900 watts. This is the best of the worst. I've also shown you the worst miners that I still have running. They're still working on my Bitcoin mining farm. This one I lose 26 cents a day. This is something that I'm very likely to be able to bounce back from. But what's funny is when you look at the numbers, right? This one is losing 26 cents a day. Ironically, like the exact same number as this model, with a difference of 18 terahash a second, but an increased power consumption. But Bitcoin mining's tough. Bitcoin mining is competitive. A lot of people get caught up in the latest miner, like the latest miner that just came out. It's really profitable. Is the Goldshell AE Box Pro. It mines Aleo. We just got one on the farm. We made one video, making another one. Got some shorts and stuff like that, trying to do a bit more TikTok stuff. Just, not become a digital dinosaur. Life moves fast, I'm telling you. But this is all exciting, right? For like $3,000 and this little miner that only needs 460 watts of electricity. I can make 30 bucks a day and mine this coin. And it's even traded on Coinbase. That's uncommon, right? And here's some of my mining performance here for reference. At one point we had 2 miners on this address, so that those earnings are doubled there. But let me sober you up real quick of what normally happens, right? So you see this, it's all exciting, $3,000, 30 bucks, gonna be so quick and easy, gonna make so much money. Oh my God, I'm gonna be rich tomorrow. F you, no you're not. Here's the Ice River Alpha AL0. I think that these actually did come out around $1,000, $800, and then a few months later, you would not be making 30 bucks a day. Okay, you are not even making 30 cents a day, you loser. You will never make your money back on this. Either way, losing is losing, and I don't think they really made their money back. I got absolutely obliterated on my $30,000 Alpha miner, the AL1, one of the worst buys in mining history. I'm the proud loser of that title. Radiant Mining was the same thing. One of the big differences, though, is that there is a lot of emissions here, but don't think that Ice River's not coming with a bigger miner model. Goldshell probably has something a little bit better, and then Bitmain's going to show up, and they're going to try to eat everybody's freaking lunch. So you ask, well, why are you focused on Bitcoin mining, right, when there's these other profitable coins to mine? Well, that's why, right? And it's like, everyone's like, oh my God, Caspa. Okay, well, let's talk about Caspa, dude. You have the best Caspa miner in the world right now. You're making $3 a day at 8 cents per kilowatt hour. Look at all this mining hardware that came out within the last 2 years that is losing you money, potentially very significant money and funds. Let's take some Bitcoin miners that have come out over the last couple of years. So probably the most comparable time frame here, and even a cheaper price point, would be like the S21 Pro. This miner came out a while ago and it still turns a pretty good profit. Unfortunately, my S21 Pro has actually broken like 5 times. Do I have a lemon, or does the S21 series sucks? That's a bit of a different discussion, but a better comparison is like my M60S has been rock solid, right? And that came out a while ago. The bottom line is, the point I'm trying to make here is Bitcoin is the long game in crypto. Bitcoin is the long game in mining. And if you want to go on a potentially more lucrative with high risk side quest, I am eyeballing Doge. These other coins are significantly more risk for potentially good returns or getting absolutely nuked. As always, you do whatever you want to do. I've been crunching this data for me personally, for my VoskCoin Mining Farm. It makes sense for me to cycle some of this gear out, whether to simply turn it off and deploy gear elsewhere with different means, or to pluck it out of immersion tanks and replace something that's more profitable in there. I need to make some decisions because I want to deploy better gear before crypto gets too crazy, because I think that Bitcoin's going to continue to run. I think that alt season is still really yet to be upon us. And I don't think that it's a bad time to add more mining rigs right now. But I don't think that that is a very long runway to continue expanding mining farms before the market goes crazy, bubble, euphoric, and it's really time to hold and take profits. So it's not financial advice. I'm just trying to do my thing out here. Hope you like the content. 10 seconds of tails as we run in every video. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you on the next one. Got some good shit in the pipeline. You better be there. I'm serious.